Welcome back to the LRL Season 6 Power Rankings. This time we're coming in post week 2. Every team's played 2 games. Let's get right into it. Staying at the number 8 spot is the 15 Bulls. They're 0-2, losing to Sprinkenbink 50 to 34 and the upset 50 to 37. Pretty ugly week for this team as Nick Hamilton missed both games, and his subs went a combined 10 of 53 from the field. In his absence, the Bulls were 7th in overall shooting percentage, last in net rebound, and last in three-pointers made, yet they're shooting the second most in the entire league. Pretty ugly week for this team. Um, Nick could come back, turn these things around. Like I mentioned, he's probably got to be Superman to do so. Really need to get back on track with a win this week if they have any type of hope for the future. Moving on to number 7 is Prison Ball. They're dropping a spot from 6 to 7 this week. Donnie missed both games and they lost to the Nuggets 50 to 26 and they lost to LRL EMT 50 to 30. Two really ugly games. Tyler and Derek both have the bottom 2 field goal percentages in the league. Last field goal percentage as a team overall, and last in net points. 2 bad losses. 2 games they couldn't hit a shot. They're getting out rebounded. Really looking ahead for Donnie to come back and turn this team around again. I don't think it's as big as a task as Knicks will be, but they're really going to need a win here this week in one of their 2 games to be able to look ahead to the future. That means in the number 6 spot is the upset. Again, this team didn't know a lot about them going into the year. Still don't know a lot about them now. They did lose to Sprinkenbink 50 to 42 and they beat the Bulls 50 to 37. So, if you're looking at last week power rankings, they lost to the best team and beat the worst team. Um, Looking at the games individually, Michael had 8 points in the loss, but 35 in the win. Keith did not play in the first game, which was the loss, or which was the win over the Bulls. Sorry. Dimitri's averaging 3.5 steals per game, which is first in the league. And in the game Keith did play, he had 24 points on 52% shooting, pretty good. Overall, they're first in steals per game and net rebounding. Moving on to the 5th spot, the biggest movers of the week. The NWI Nuggets are dropping from 2 to 5. They beat Prison Ball 50 to 26, but lost to the Trailer Park Boys 50 to 38. They went 42% from the field in their win, but only 30% in the loss. And if you remember from last week, I did say that this team, it's going to depend on whether the shots were falling. They were falling against a bad Prison Ball team, but they weren't able to hit as much against the Trailer Park Boys. They got out rebounded in that game as well and ended up losing by 12. Overall, they're third in 2-point percentage. Tony is averaging 21.5 points per game, and James is leading the league in rebounds per game. This team's still well within playoff contention. They did move a lot, mainly because they lost to Trailer Park Boys. I'm not considering Prison Ball as much because they just did not show up this week. So this is mainly on the Trailer Park Boys game, and I was surprised to see that they, based on the power rankings, they were upset. Moving on to, again, this should be number 4, the Trailer Park Boys. We just talked about them, how they beat the Nuggets 50 to 38. They did lose to three-piece combo 51 to 44. This team is moving up from 5 to 4. They are overall the number 1 team in three-pointers made, second in 3-point percentage, and PJ's averaging 21 points on 56, 42, 48 splits. That is 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, field goal percentage in that order. Really bounced back. Game 2 chronologically, they lost to the three-piece combo, then beat the Nuggets. He had 25 points and 20 rebounds in that game. Allen is averaging 17 points on 36% 3-point percentage. That is towards the top of the league as well. Again, don't really see this team missing the playoffs. They had a couple tough games, winning one, losing the other. 3 to 5 range really feels right for this team in the long run. That being said, moving on to number 3 is three-piece combo themselves after beating the Trailer Park Boys and losing to LRL EMT. In comparison, game 1 they shot 49% from the field but only 31% in game 2. They are leading the league in assists per game, and they are overall third in three-point percentage. Justin's averaging about 17.5 points per game on 51, 41, 45 splits. A really ugly game 2 for this team. I think the opportunity was there. They just didn't hit enough shots. Again, shooting 31% from the field is not going to win many games in the LRL. They did win a close one against the Trailer Park Boys, and that earned them a spot up in the power rankings combined with the Nuggets' loss. Moving on to team number 2 is LRL EMT. Again, they beat Prison Ball pretty badly, and they beat three-piece combo in what was a pretty ugly game from three-piece combo. Overall, they're first in three-point percentage and field goal percentage. They're second in assists per game and first in blocks. Tyler's leading the league in points with 33.5 per game, and he is also leading all shooting splits on 64, 47, and 58 percentage, if I do remember correctly. Again, the prison ball game, kind of throw that out the window. Not super competitive. They did beat three-piece combo 50-32. Were ahead all game and held three-piece combo to 31% shooting, as we mentioned before. This team's going to be tough. They could dethrone the number 1 team later on in the season. It's really going to come down to whether the number 1 team loses, but that'll be an interesting matchup. And we do play everybody twice this season, so that will play a role as well. But I don't see this team missing the playoffs whatsoever. They're going to be at the 1 through 3 spots for the rest of the season unless something catastrophic happens. With that being said, still, the reigning champs are at number 1. They're 2-0. They beat the upset and they beat the Bulls 50-42 and 50-34. Sorry. Bryce missed the first 2 games, but Cooper picked up the slack. 32 points per game on 63, 47, 57 splits. Absolutely dominant from him, just like Tyler. The 2 best offensive players in the league through the 2 weeks, and it's pretty close. Michael is averaging 2.5 steals per game as well, and this team is first in 2-point percentage and second in field goal percentage. Like I mentioned before, it's really going to take a loss for this team to come out of the number 1 spot, but I don't see them missing the playoffs as well, and they're probably going to be in the 1 through 3 spots for the rest of the season. Bryce was scheduled to come back for week 3 and on, but through the injury report, we have noticed that he has stitches in his hand and will be out indefinitely. We have no update on when he will return, and I believe Afam, who subbed the first 2 games, will be taking his spot for the foreseeable future. I do anticipate Bryce coming back this season, and they will look to repeat, and Michael Cundiff is going to look for his second Finals MVP award. But with the way Cooper's playing this season, he might be getting his first Finals MVP. Thank you for listening this far. Please tune in to the post Week 4 Power Rankings for updated rankings and stats.